right, gentlemen. So let's talk a little bit about how the equipment leasing finance industry can minimize risk as it relates to asset valuations, residual forecasting, things of that nature, and maybe talk a little bit about that.
In the past, we had been strictly around the dealer market. That was where we really started in the auction market. As we started to develop this, we started to look at how beneficial this could be in the finance sector out there. And in fact, there's a lot of risk factors in the finance sector and a lot of shoddy data. So, for instance, a lot of banks today go through and do kind of an old school type desktop appraisal. And in some cases, there's a lot of emotion involved in some of the numbers. In some cases, they come upon a couple of numbers out there and they feel good about those and they put those as kind of a benchmark in their platform, and then they use those numbers periodically throughout. The problem is if those numbers change, the market changes. If the numbers are inaccurate, if there's too much emotion involved, or they wanted to get more across in a portfolio out there, it really puts them in a substantial risk position. So as we were attending ELFA, one of the easiest buttons for us to push out there, and it was very popular that people were coming up to us all the time, and they'd see Sandhills Global, and they'd say, "I love your market reports. I love what you guys do on the back end for us when it comes to those market reports." And those market reports are very, very valuable because they go across the ag, construction, and truck market, and gives a lot of insight into values today, how much supply is in the market, where the demand's at. It sections auction values against retail value, but it really gives a lot of valuable information that really takes the guesswork out of where the industry is at today, and puts them on a good path for that. So it's important to read that as it is a stock market report every day. So
and those reports dive into kind of within like the construction. We go into excavators, dozers, telehandlers, loader backhoes, skid steers. We really break out each kind of segment and category within a specific market with ag, construction, and truck. And so, as Scott mentioned, yeah, looking at auction values and retail values and really seeing where that specific segment within that industry is going is hugely valuable.
I started getting those market reports in my email, and they're free, right? I mean, anybody can get them. You just as long as you sign up for them. And I started seeing them about 6 months ago, and I was kind of scratching my head. I didn't really know what it was, which led me to start asking the questions about
Yeah.
who are these guys. And I started asking questions, and I've heard a lot of commentary of how valuable they are to everybody, because it's the first time we've seen anything like that in our industry that's on a recurring basis of market reports on all different types of assets, along with a lot of historical data that you provide free of charge. Why do you provide it free of charge?
In our marketplace, I think in the dealer market out here, we're known as the largest platforms in the industry, and it's just being a good steward to our dealer community out there. And I think that applies to the finance side as well. We want people to visit those, and there's some residual effects that drive people to Sandhills Global or to our trade sites out there as well, and make us more popular. But at the end of the day, it's kind of we're waving the flag that the data that we have and the amount of time we've put into cleansing that data and getting it usable out there is valuable across all these marketplaces. But it's substantial compared to what people had today, and it's in terms of that averting risk side of it. I mean, it's helping set those residuals and helping them be more accurate on that. And also, when it comes to pulling a value, if it's mid-lease and it turns out to be a repo at the point of origination or at the end of a lease, we can provide those market reports, give insight into where the market's at today. In some cases, it could even give insight into when's the best time to end a lease. You might do a 30-month lease as opposed to a 24-month lease based on where the market's going to be at the end of that, because you've got a better residual position.
Yeah, making better decisions on the front side is going to allow us to help everyone out even more substantially on the back end side to return higher net return.
Got it. Got it. And I guess while we're at it, why don't you talk a little bit about, I'm a little confused about how this auction thing is now. It's not the traditional auction, which you bring all your equipment and to one location and then it goes to an auction. This is a little different, right?
Yeah, especially in the finance side, where assets are all over the country, and if you get into repossessions, it's unpredictable when they'll be coming in, and so the whole online auction side has really transformed this industry where you can sell assets, where they sit, and really, flush them out and sell them, for what they'll bring that day. But in our space, it's bringing a whole kind of different disruptor to the market because we live in a place where we are the market for retail values, and retail values, if you look at market reports, are typically 20 to 30+% higher than what auction values are. And so when you have such a substantial amount of inventory that rolls through us on the retail side, that takes a lot of end user retail buyers, to sell that much inventory. So when you bring that to an auction market and expose this through kind of assets through a retail wholesale auction cascade, waterfall, whatever you want to call it, flow, you're going to be able to cost average up. But if we can retail a portion of that equipment, wholesale some for higher than net auction value, and then sell everything else at auction, your total return is going to be substantially higher than if you just flushed it, straight away.
You mentioned a little bit about market disruption. We'll talk about that here next.